Hey everybody, I'm Seth V for the Knife Center, and we're back with another episode of New Knives. I've got the coolest new things that have just hit our shelves. Let's get right into it. First up is this Koenig Mini Arius, and I put it at the first position on the video because these have a habit of selling out quickly. They just hit the site, but hopefully they are still available when you're watching this. These come in, well, pricing isn't quite finalized yet. They're still getting added to the site, but these come in at $705 for a plain Jane titanium version, or $770 for this blue hardware with this awesome Corda milled pattern. These feature M390 steel and are truly one of the best made American knives you can get your hands on. There's a reason why they sell so quickly, and that's because if you're talking titanium frame lock flippers made in the USA, these are among the very best of the best. The Mini Arius, I think I might even prefer a little bit to the full-size version. You've still got a nice accommodating handle shape that gives you a good amount of grip, but it's a little shorter, a little easier to carry, a little lighter, and the flipping action is no less spectacular. You can also use the hole in the blade to flick this thing open. Truly a fidgeter's delight here, and also an extremely high performance cutting tool thanks to an aggressively hollow grind, a very dialed in heat treatment, and the kind of fit and finish you can just sit and admire. I've had a Koenig Arius on my list of knives to buy for myself for a long time. I'm kind of halfway waiting for a non-flipper version, but the flipper is so good on these. I'm tempted every time they come in. Such a spectacular knife. If it's in your budget, it's well worth checking out. Next up, we have a batch of new CRKT knives. And this latest release was actually all Richard Rogers designs, and they range from pretty budget-friendly options all the way up to something like this, the Persian. This is a limited edition, comes in at $275, and it features a 3.5-inch blade made from MagnaCut. This thing is really dialed in, everything you expect at the price point with the materials. I believe they are actually made in Italy, and they have that feel about them for sure. Very refined, very luxurious. Richard Rogers tends to stick to pretty simple, clean lines, very tight symmetry, very minimal but sophisticated look, and this Persian goes maximal with it. I really like the flavor that he's brought to this one. Got a trailing point blade, sort of a sinuous shape here, and some very intricate milling to go with it. These have a sculpted titanium pocket clip, a full-length carbon fiber inlay that reaches all the way over the pivot and even acts as a sort of over-travel stop for the frame lock. The frame lock has a steel lock bar insert, a beautiful, beautiful knife, definitely using every bit of its budget to its advantage, I'd say. In hand, it's quite comfortable. The handle shape is still simple. You still got a bit of that Richard Rogers just effortlessness to it. It's comfortable, it gives a good grip, but is also just so elegant, you know. The shape when this thing is closed is very, very satisfying. A showpiece for sure, but something you'll enjoy carrying, no doubt. Next on the table is the Pup. The Pup comes in two versions. This is the premium version at $275 with twist Damasteel blade, titanium frame, carbon fiber inlays, and a small but still sculpted titanium pocket clip. The more affordable version is actually a locking knife. It comes with a liner lock. This is a slip joint, detent style, so you can flip it open like that. Very, very cool. I would have had one of the locking knives on the version, but one of you out there bought the last one on our shelves, so it's already headed your way. This is all we have for now, but we should be restocking all versions pretty soon. This reminds me a lot of the Symmetry, which was a larger flip joint style non-locking knife that came out a year or two ago. This one just scales it down, makes it even more pocketable. I think this would work great in the 5th pocket even. It's really that small and compact, but you still get satisfying action. Very fun. Let's see if I can flip it closed. That's always the challenge with these. Ooh, almost. A little practice and you'll be doing it, no problem. Elegant, for sure. And to match that elegance, you can also get an optional pocket slip. So if this is how you want to carry your little, well, really any slip joint could fit in here. You've got nice leather construction, a wire pocket clip to keep it in place. And if you, like me, don't enjoy things rattling around loose in your pockets, this is a great way to carry a small knife or something without a pocket clip. These come in at $22.95, so pretty nice affordable solution for carrying a slip joint. And this here is the CRKT Q, just the letter Q. This one is the premium version, coming in at $195 with S35 VN blade steel and aluminum handles with black G10 inlays. Very, very nice feel on this. The flipping action is perfect. I like the aluminum. You know, titanium would be an easy choice for this, but given that the material doesn't need to be part of the locking mechanism, I like that they went with aluminum for the weight savings. It's got that lively feel to it. Very much an EDC optimized design. Graceful, elegant, all that stuff that I was singing the praises of with Richard Rogers designs. It's here in spades, and you've got a deep carry pocket clip for easy carry. It's also got a fuller in the blade here. I wonder if I can use that. Oh yeah, pretty easy to flick this thing open using the fuller. Maybe if your fingers were a little larger, you'd have trouble kind of getting it in there, but it's a pretty sharp relief. Sharp enough at least to catch a little bit of skin and make it easy to flick open. Really nice package here. I like how wide the blade is for a nice gradual approach to the edge, even though folded up, this thing is super slim. Next on the table is one of 2 new mini bugouts from Benchmade. And again, somebody got to the purple one before we could get it on the table, but I have here the other version. This is featuring daybreak yellow scales with cool red thumb studs and standoffs. This is the mini bugout that you know and love. Got 2.8 inches of blade, S30V steel, $162 is the price. And actually, Thomas brought this right to my desk because as soon as he unboxed it, he noticed that this might actually be the best out-of-the-box Benchmade action. Effortless on the close, super snappy on the open. I'm tempted to agree with him. This is really, really dialed in. Sometimes these mini knives can be a little harder to open than their full-sized cousins, but no such problems here. It feels...
Made me think of my full-size bugout that's had 4 years to break in.
Yeah, there you go. That's quite the endorsement. I really like the handle color on this one too. They're calling it daybreak yellow. I think it could be almost like a mustard tone to it. It's nice. I like the palette. I enjoy yellow knives. We don't see them often, so when companies play around with some nice yellow tones, yellow and black, yellow and red, I don't know. It's working for me, especially in person. In terms of ultra minimal, ultra slim, ultra easy to carry knives in Benchmade's catalog, the mini bugout might be superseded a little bit now by the mini narrows, but this one's a lot more affordable, of course, and also just a little more hardworking in its character. You know, given that the scales are plastic, it's the kind of knife that I'm not going to worry about scuffing or messing up because these plastic scales are super tough and kind of just look better with time. Next, we have a sort of a new family from Schrade Oldtimer. All these knives, as you can see, share aesthetic similarities, but they offer some new features that I don't remember seeing on any Schrade knives before, and especially not Schrade Oldtimers. I'm going to lead with the one that's the most interesting to me, which is this Frontier Series pivot lock. It has, as you can see, a crossbar lock here. 3.1 inches of blade, 7 CR steel, got these cool kind of bone looking synthetic handles and old-fashioned bolsters. I like that they've maintained the look and feel of the old-timer slip joints while delivering a 100% modern EDC knife in use. These come in at $22.95, so the price is very affordable, and the action on this is pretty sweet. It's got ball bearings in the pivot, so a little bit of an easy mode there in terms of smoothness, but the crossbar lock works great. Very satisfying to use, a very solid lockup for sure. The blade is ground very nice. You know, 7CR steel is nothing special. It's equivalent roughly to 440A, but it's extremely stain resistant, relatively tough for a stainless steel, and it's gonna be super easy to touch up. And for just over 20 bucks for the asking price with the crossbar lock, I'm not upset at this. I think it's a good package. I also really like that they've given us a proper deep carry clip on this knife. It is ambidextrous. It attaches here with just a single screw at the end of the knife, so you can flip it for left or right hand carry, really take advantage of the natural ambidextrous nature of the crossbar lock. Exactly what you want to see. The design is simple. It inherits a lot of this, the simplicity that worked for old-timer designs, but yeah, with all the fast and strong features of a modern folding knife. Next in the new Frontier series from Schrade Old-Timer is this assisted Barlow. This one is $18.95, has 2.7 inches of 7CR17 steel, a liner lock with assisted flipper opening. The assist is a little more refined than some of the assisted Schrades of the past, I would say. It feels similar to like a Kershaw Speed Safe or CRKT's new system. You've got that nice half stop point there, and it doesn't take much to just overcome that, push the thing closed. Works well, definitely kicks the blade open every time. This is a nice, slightly more compact design, and I don't know, I think it inherits the Barlow character, again, while delivering the modern features that most customers want. Also has that great deep carry pocket clip, ambidextrous, attached at the rear. Yeah, some cool design refinements, even though these are very much budget knives. The largest of the new Schrade folders is this manual folder. That's what we have on the website at least. In any case, you'll know it by its size because this has a full 3.8 inches of blade. Nice clip point profile, very broad, very capable. The blade stock is a fair bit thicker than the other knives we've seen before as well. So this has a substantial weight and strength to it. And it's a manual action. No assist here, glides open. The detent is strong enough that it's very easy to flip. And I like how small that flipper tab. It's just enough to give you a little bit of guard when open and enough to catch your finger to flip, but it doesn't at all get in the way of the ergonomics. Big handle here to fill your grip. And like a lot of the sort of stag or bone slip joints from Old-Timer in the past, the profile kind of widens here with these scales. So you get a bit of a sculpted shape here. It's sophisticated in a way. And at its price, $26.95, I think this is a pretty cool option for the money. And finally, a new fixed blade. This is very creatively called the Frontier Series fixed blade knife, which describes it perfectly. We've got 5 inches of 7CR17 steel. Is that a drop point? No.
Pointy.
It's pointy. It's a straight spine shape, so almost a sort of Skinner profile here. Nice long belly reaching up to a pretty precise tip. Good bit of flat edge to work with if you're just doing, simple utility cutting. And like that folder, somewhat of a sophisticated handle shape despite the relatively budget price of $29.95. These synthetic bone scales widen out and taper slightly towards your fingers, which give you a very confidence-inspiring grip. It's also full tang for strength, so yeah, this is a good beater knife, something I'm not going to be afraid to use hard. The sheath on this Old-Timer Also kind of marries the traditional and the modern, like the whole rest of the series, with a leather drop style sheath with a nylon molded insert in there. So you get the nice snap retention. It drops in no problem. You're not going to worry about slicing through this sheath or anything. Pretty cool design. It's going to be comfortable against your hip with the leather side, but a little more waterproof, a little more durable thanks to that nylon insert. Sticking with fixed blades for just a minute more, this new one from LionSteel just came in. This is called the Ago. It is even slimmer in person than I was expecting from pictures. This thing is just a wisp of a little fixed blade with 3.3 inches of blade, M390 steel, a titanium bolster. These also feature LionSteel's really cool solid or integral handles. So this is just a single piece that gets sort of attached to the tang, fully encapsulating it. This version here is carbon fiber and it comes in at $138.95. But as you might expect, it comes in wood and G10 and micarta. So price may vary a little bit depending on your choice, but they're all that same beautiful, solid construction. Being so slim, the weight on these is actually really impressive. This weighs just 1.41 ounces. So if you're looking for an easy to carry, kind of everyday fixed blade for your cutting needs, this is going to be a pretty sweet choice. The sheath is somewhat minimal. You got a leather pouch style here. It slips in, and either carry it loose in your pocket and use this lanyard to retrieve it, or string your belt through this part of the loop and carry it tight to your waist. I like those options, especially if you're not necessarily interested in a dedicated pocket carry fixed blade sheath. This gives you some choices right out of the box and lets you figure out what works best for you. For this much amount of edge, 3.3 inches or so, it's just shockingly light. Really, really nice. It's still got a flat grind for decent cutting geometry. It's not going to be a super slicer given how thin it is, but going to have a lot of precision with the tip for working with that. The handle is nice and neutral. I can just about get, well, yeah, I can actually get all 4 fingers on there in a hammer grip. The bolster allows a nice natural pinch grip. This feels very deft, almost like a tactical steak knife or something. Just another nice option from LionSteel. A bunch of new Dawson fixed blades just hit our shelves, and I pulled 2 of the ones that stuck out to me. This is the Revelation first. Definitely taking a different kind of design approach to an EDC fixed blade than that LionSteel for sure. This is much more substantial, much tougher, and much heavier as a result. A full tang construction is going to give you, the ultimate strength. The handles are much wider to give you more grip when you're really going hard. And the extended pommel allows you to perform, some smashing, bashing, hammering type of work as well. The blade shape though is pure utility. Wharncliffe profile, nice precise point, hollow grind for good cutting performance. Still got that blade stock thickness to back it up with some serious strength, and it's made from MagnaCut, which is tough, stainless, good edge retention, kind of the flagship do-it-all steel these days. This one comes in at $270 and has a nice Kydex sheath to go with it. Dawson has recently kind of upgraded their sheaths. They used to come with a hybrid leather, sometimes Kydex type construction. This new all Kydex construction just feels a little tighter. It holds onto the blades a little stronger. You've got some rubber grommets in here to stand off the belt loops and allow you to adjust the tension if you need to. Yeah, this is going to accommodate a lot of really useful grips. The handles taper slightly for that pinch grip here. It's got a nice depression in the spine to catch your finger if you're getting up close to the tip. And the handle is still very much full-sized for that hammer grip. This next knife is very much Dawson's bread and butter. This is the Marauder. It's got 5.6 inches of MagnaCut steel. Comes in at $410 And this is the kind of hybrid combat survival knives that they have become famous for. Super tough, full tang construction, very thick blade stock, but with a nice hollow grind for a good combination of cutting performance and strength. Full-sized handle for sure. You can see all the extra room I have when I choke up for my hammer grip. Pinch grip works great even without kind of coming up onto the blade here, although there's plenty of space to manipulate the knife here for, you know, some more delicate skinning or slicing tasks. I really like their quite generous sharpening choils they give you here. So, you know, this is a knife that's meant to be used and resharpened and used and resharpened and just continue to offer great edge geometry, resharpenability. Yeah, Dawson makes knives to last you the rest of your life, and they really stick behind it with their custom in-house heat treatment. They're making knives in the USA from USA sourced materials. Yeah, really great company that just delivers on everything they promise. This also features their signature blade finish. They call this the copper wash, I think? Arizona copper wash, something like that. I don't know how they achieve it, but it is beautifully copper toned, almost gold. And it's got these kind of fleckles and specks that come through. It's rough and tumble, but also a little sparkly, a little flashy. I really like it. You know, if you're gonna spend this much money on a hard use fixed blade, it helps when it looks this cool. Next up are a couple new knives from Hogue that are aimed at hunters, but I think have a much broader use case than that. The first is this Extrak XL fixed blade. This version has MagnaCut steel, costs $197.96, and is also available with M4 steel if you want even greater edge retention. You know, they're marketing this as a hunting knife, and it would be fantastic at that. Very thin blade stock for long-lasting, you know, slicing edge retention. It's full tang for strength, but still ultra slim with its kind of minimal handle scales here to be easy to carry, lightweight, the kind of thing that a hunter, you know, is going to enjoy packing out with them, not going to weigh them down. Really like this design. The XL just gives you a little bit more handle to work with, a little bit more blade to work with. Of course, being so slim, it doesn't have it's not going to fill your hand for bushcraft tasks, but especially in a pinch grip, this thing just sings. Really, really feels nice, and I would love to put this to work. This one doesn't come with a traditional sheath. You just kind of get this blade cover, but it snaps into place no problem. Makes it easy to just drop in a pack, kind of forget about until you need it for skinning or food prep or what have you, and get to work. The next knife I'm legitimately excited about and seriously impressed. This is the Expel scalpel folding knife. It costs $124.95. Comes with black G10 handles. You can also get it in orange if you really want to embrace the hunting aesthetic. But this thing is brilliant. Seriously, I've never seen a folding, replaceable blade skinning knife that operates this well. So it's a backlock, keeps the blade open, closes no problem. It's kind of a two-handed affair. I don't think this is meant to really be a one-hand closing knife, but it is a one-hand deploying knife. This little tab up here functions as a flipper, and it works great. You know, backlock flippers are not a thing, but they've managed to give you enough leverage, and the backlock is built smoothly enough that it's no problem to flip open. And that flipper tab also works as a blade ejection tool. So this thing has a half stop. It'll kind of catch the blade at 90 degrees, and then you just push on it, and it ejects the scalpel blade. How cool is that? This thing is so well thought through. It's just fantastic. Putting the blade back on is super easy. You can either just pick it up and do it by hand, or you could get this optional blade carrying accessory. These come in at $24.95. They include 5 number 60 replaceable blades and a little carrier that presents you with the blade. There, pushed it out, and you've got it sticking out there so you can stick it into your holder without ever having to even get close to the edge. What a system. I mean, if I was actually out there hunting, if I'd been out there for hours, days even, I was cold, maybe I was covered in slippery stuff, that kind of thing is gonna be, it's gonna prevent accidents, you know? Like, it's safer, it's better, it's easier.
A wild game changer, you might say.
A total game changer. Yeah, this whole system is so fantastic. It's patent pending. Hogue absolutely killed it with this one. And I'm so impressed. I don't know. I'm even thinking about getting one, and I don't even hunt. So definitely check this out. If you need something like this, or if you're curious about these replaceable blade knives, this is absolutely the best one out there. Next up is a new blade shape for an old favorite. This is the Otter Mercator lockback with a new Humpback blunt tip blade shape. That's what they're calling it. These are $49.95. They feature a stainless steel and that traditional Mercator design. So these are very simple, very old-fashioned, no pocket clip or anything. You've got this bail on the end for carry. They are built from a single piece of folded steel, and they have this very interesting but very easy to use variation on the back lock here. So the whole thing is just this little piece, rather than having a cutout in the handle to accommodate where you press on the back lock. It just rises up, lets you close it like that. I really like this blade shape. You know, this kind of knife is going to be used in more casual settings, you know, maybe as a picnic knife, a little just kitchen drawer type of food prep knife. This is going to be perfect for spreading stuff as well as cutting. So I like what they've done here with this. And maybe as a bonus, it's also a lot easier to open because that extra blade profile gives you plenty to grab onto and a nice spot for leverage to push this thing open, no problem. These are quite sizable knives, actually. You know, the blade length is a full 3.5 inches. The handle length is close to 4 or slightly over, and so you've got lots of grip to work with. Being so thin and being made out of folded steel, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but the kind of powder coating that they do on this gives you a decent kind of softness to the edges. It's still comfortable to hold. Not a hard to use blade, but that should be obvious from looking at it. These are still made in Solingen, Germany, and I think this new blade shape is a pretty cool addition. The last two new knives on the table are from Svord, New Zealand. This right here is the Coffin Bowie. What a fixed blade we have here. This has a full 9.5 inches of carbon steel, this coffin shaped handle, brass guard. These come in at $299.95, and they are also limited edition. I don't know if it's a recreation of any one specific Bowie, but it's definitely a throwback in terms of the style. You know, this very exaggerated clip, this coffin handle, the straight guard. This is inspired completely by historical designs, and it's also hand ground in New Zealand with a convex edge, with a convex grind and a convex edge. So this thing is super, super tough. Even though the tip is thin and very pointy, as you want from a Bowie, I think this has enough mass in it. It's plenty thick enough to do some chopping, some harder work for sure. It's full tang, so it's overbuilt in the way modern knives are usually, but the design is straight from the past. Yeah, this is just a knife that makes you smile. I think it's even got, yeah, this clip is sharpened, so what a beast here. The sheath for this is also very much a throwback. Rather than having a drop loop or something to attach to your belt, this is made for carrying in the waistband with this little brass thing here to just kind of catch on the inside of your belt or your waist to keep it buried and somewhat concealed. This was very much the style of carrying a lot of those old Bowies, so Svord have stuck with it for this version, and I think it's a pretty good decision. The second Svord is also a throwback. This is their 18th century trade. It's got 7 inches of blade, 15N20 carbon steel, which I think is one of the more obscure Sandvik steels. And the price on this is $64.95. This is a very faithful recreation of the trade knives of the 18th century. They were mostly French and English made, imported to the Americas for the fur trade. They looked a lot like this. Really, they were not much more than glorified French or English chef knives, but they were the survival tool of the time. You know, the old hickory knives kind of get close to the trade knife style, but this Svord is the first production knife I've ever seen that really, really recreates it well. Like that Bowie, it's also hand ground with a nice convex geometry, convex edge. It's rather thin in comparison, so you know this could be a food prep or skinning knife, but it's still pretty thick behind the edge, so that convex edge is gonna remain nice and tough for more outdoor oriented tasks. The handle is extremely simple. The shape is just straight, slightly widens toward the back to give your last fingers a little more to grip onto. Kind of just beveled rather than contoured, but still comfortable. And these kind of knives are a perfect jumping off point for customization. I mean, if you really want to be historically accurate, once the traders and trappers of the time got these into their kits, they were modifying them to fit their needs. So if you get this, you should feel permission to do it yourself, absolutely. A little bit of time on a belt sander or with a Dremel or even just some sandpaper is going to shape this handle into your ideal handle shape. And yeah, there's so much here you can work with. I could even see this working if you were trying to get into like historical reenactment. Like that's how accurate this is to those old knives. And Svord did it in New Zealand. Last on the table are a couple new flashlights from Olight. This is the latest and greatest version of their Arkfeld platform. This is the Arkfeld Ultra. This is kind of a special light. I really like the Arkfeld. You've got 3 different kind of light emitting options. You have a conventional white LED. This one's super bright at 1400 max lumens. You also have a UV light for, you know, checking for scorpions. And you've also got a laser pointer, a green laser pointer for a nice, powerful, very far-reaching beam to play with your pets and, I don't know, point at stuff really far away. So rather than carry several lights to fit all of those needs, you can carry it all in this quite compact Arkfeld Ultra. I also like the form factor. Because it's flat, it's not going to roll away. It's going to, you know, carry quite easily in a pocket. This features their nice kind of 2-way pocket clip, so you can go tip up, tip down. Which side is the tip on a flashlight?
The business end.
That feels like the tip, yeah. Tip down, tip up, either way, works great. This also integrates with all of their charging bases. Comes with one in the box, but you know, if you have one of their kind of multi-light charging stations, this will work on that as well. There's a whole ecosystem of attachments that Olight makes for this magnetic base. Pretty cool stuff. And yeah, the Arkfeld Ultra is just brighter and better than ever. And finally, this is the new Perun 3. This is a 90-degree flashlight that is sold as a headlamp. Comes out of the box with, you know, the bands necessary to clip this on your forehead and use it as a headlamp. But I actually really like these 90-degree style lights just as a EDC carry. Like, there's a lot of utility to having the light coming out perpendicular to the body of the light. You can clip it to a pocket. If I had one, I'd clip it to it. But for example, you could see, you know, I could use both hands. I can walk around and still have everything in front of me illuminated. No need to put on a headlamp to do that with these. This is super bright. This is the brightest version of the Perun yet. A full 3000 lumens with this thing. And you've even got 3 emitters. I think the previous versions just had 1, so this is tripling down. with the most lumens you can get out of this thing. Really cool. Aluminum construction, several colors available, and of course the same magnetic charging base that works with all the Olight accessories. Well, that's all the new knives we have for this week. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. Don't forget to click the links down in the description to find any of these in stock. Hopefully that Koenig's still available. Also, don't forget about our Knife Rewards program, because if you're gonna spend any money on any of these cool new knives, you may as well get some money to spend on your next one. I've been Seth V for the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we'll see you next time.